welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to be covering Google's new update, which is the GSE Generative Search Experience, what it is, how it's impacting SEO. I'm going to be answering a lot of interesting questions that I've seen online, such as, is SEO dead or dying? What's the future of search look like? And what strategies can we implement now that will be very useful for us in the future, especially in this new age of artificial intelligence search results. So let's get into it. So overall, what is GSE? So GSE is called Generative Search Experience, and it's Google's answer essentially to Bing incorporating ChatGPT artificial intelligence natively into their browser. So for those who may have not realized, Bing integrated artificial intelligence into their search results, and this led Google to basically create something called a red notice internally, which meant that there was a big shift in the competitive environment of search engines. And essentially Google basically is trying now to scramble and to have an answer to that update in the competitive landscape of Bing versus Google. And what we can see now is Google has been very hard at work behind the scenes, integrating this new update and change. At the moment, it has not rolled out officially. If you are in the US and if you've signed up to Project Tailwind, which is this project that enables you to get access to Google's GSE, Generative Search Experience, essentially you'll be able to mess around with that at this stage, but this is not open globally. And at this stage, it's only access to very, very limited people right now. I personally have not used it myself. However, I've been able to gather information from those who have, and I've done a few contrasts and comparisons between both. So before we cover that, let's quickly answer a few burning questions. Is SEO dead or dying? In my experience, I've been doing this for 10 years. It has not been dead or dying. It's actually been stronger than ever. And as we can see, a boost from COVID led to many businesses realizing that you cannot always do business physically. Sometimes you got to move online. And in this circumstance, more and more people are online, have access to the internet, and they're doing more and more in this perspective to do online shopping, research, and analysis. So in my mind, SEO is not dead or dying at all. It's always been changing. I've been doing this for over 10 years, and the trick is if you sit on your laurels and don't do anything, you'll fall behind really quickly. There's probably one industry that comes to mind that's probably much more expansive and changing at a much faster rate than SEO, which is probably the crypto space. But apart from that, SEO is always changing. You can never be too comfortable. You always go be ahead of the curve because there's always new things happening. And Google is well known to create new algorithm updates, new tests, new analysis, changing and adjusting tweaks to the search experience. And as SEOs, we're always ones to basically try to stay ahead of the curve by providing good user experience, good information, and provide solid search experiences that users will come back to Google and use them to get the best search results possible, and by us providing websites with the most important information, best user experience, to enable that for users to keep coming back and using Google over other search engines. So in my experience, it's definitely not changing. I think it has a positive impact on the future of search, and I can't wait to see what happens next. So where do I see search changing? I actually see search breaking down into three perspectives at this point. So what I've been able to assess from this new generative search experience is that you can toggle between this AI interface and the traditional search interface. I personally haven't used it, so I can't verify that for 100%. I'm only going with anecdote information from others who've used it at this stage. So with that in mind, I think it's going to split into three different search categories. You're going to have the search category of the traditional search engine that we have here, the traditional search experience, I should say, to clarify, which is the search engine results that we're used to, maybe with a bit of a spin on it. We're going to have the generative search experience, which is basically incorporating artificial intelligence within the daily search functionality of Google. And then the final one, which will be the most interesting, will be user-generated content, or as Google has labeled this as perspectives, which I'll cover very, very shortly. So let's quickly cover these 3 prongs. So number 1, traditional search. Not really going to cover too much of that, except it is kind of the traditional layout that we see, and I think Google might change that around a little bit moving forward, but the traditional just paid ads, organic search results continued. The generative search experience, which will be an integrated approach. We can see someone searching for something, Google will have its artificial intelligence response. It may also include a few ads, organic results, and enable you to prompt to continue asking the AI questions to get continued information. And finally, perspectives. I'll pop up a little video about what perspectives is. So Google's kind of talked about this very briefly, that it will enable you to see like user-generated content. And this is quite interesting because it makes the personalized in search experience a bit more personal. So let's just say if you're looking for a particular search, like, how to make friends in a foreign country, or maybe it could be like moving or holiday location or moving to a new location, and it will probably search and provide you with user-generated content, so personalized videos from people sharing their own individual experiences. And this could be on TikTok platforms, Instagram, YouTube. I think a lot of it will be probably funneled into YouTube since it's owned by Google, but that's the way I see the future going there. And when you think about it, it will become powerful because people want to look for products, services. If someone has user-generated content that has a personalized experience, that will definitely have a much more impactful effect on maybe someone's decision to go ahead with a product or service. Who knows? We'll see. So, quickly going on to a comparison between traditional search experience versus generative search experience. So, I'm going to put up a quick image on the screen, and this image is going to outline plans for a dark room. And we can see someone who's used the new GSC experience versus the traditional. I've put together my own observations that I've highlighted in orange, red, and pink. So what we can see in orange is we have a traditional featured snippet, and we just have organic search results beneath it. Then if you move on to the GSE version, what we can see is the featured snippet has been removed. However, a lot of those plants that have been listed there basically come up as images, but from that perspective, the website itself, the spruce, has not been credited, which is interesting. Then on the top right hand corner, we do have a few other organic results. Then continued just beneath it, we have prompts that we can continue talking about AI, and then we have at the bottom more organic results. So as we can see, an interesting distinction is the Candy Lay and DIYs.com essentially do show up in that bottom section of the organic result in the GSE. However, the spruce is not actually showing up, which is the website that was featured on the featured snippet result in the traditional search experience compared to the AI version. So that's very interesting to see that it's not listed anywhere there. Please bear in mind that this is just a screenshot of someone's experience, and this will most likely and almost certainly change over time, but it is interesting to see how that has happened. And the website that was ranking first isn't featured in that snapshot, but the websites that are featured underneath that in position 1 and 2 are featured, but in position 0 in that featured snippet is not getting any type of result being shown there for that search query. Now moving on to another snippet, we have a Bluetooth speaker for a pool party, the traditional one versus the GSE variation. So as we can see here on this state, you've got DOS Audio ranking number 1 as an organic result, and it does that big arrow, the pink arrow moving across to the top right hand corner, and once again that is being shown, which is interesting. However, what I like about the generative search result is that at this stage, the information is quite useful for someone. So example, if I was looking for a Bluetooth speaker for a pool party, the information is given in terms of battery, water resistance, and sound quality. So I may have not considered that as a individual who's maybe searching for this for the first time, but the information it provides is interesting, especially regarding water resistance. That gives you a water resistance rating, where it says whether the speaker is waterproof. Reviewers suggest a water resistance rating of at least IPX5. I find that very useful, and I think that that piece of information could be invaluable, and it could be something that should be also included in your copy if you're someone that is selling this item. As we can see, making that comparison back to the traditional result, we've got at the bottom a paid search / organic merchant listing result. So as we can see, it's pushed through the orange arrow just beneath the AI response. So as a potential query that is more around a purchase, or maybe from a research stage, depending on how far the user is down the journey, I find that organic merchant listings and paid results will definitely be an interesting area to see in the future. And I think that for anyone who has organic merchant listings should definitely try and do their best to get featured there. But apart from that, paid results take up probably about, I'd say, 60% of that result, while the traditional organic listings in the top right hand corner take up a very small portion. So it will be interesting to see how that essentially affects search results in the future and organic performance, and whether this will be the same moving forward once it officially rolls out globally. So let's quickly go into something a little bit new, which is what future SEO strategies could we potentially focus on for SEO. So I think the biggest and the most important one is EAT, which is experience, expertise, authority, and trust. So why do I say that that's something to really take into consideration? Because if you look at what Google has been doing for the news recently, this will shock you, because this is something that I think is applicable to EAT, which I'll briefly discuss in just a moment. So what's Google doing with news sources? They're implementing something called topical authority, which is how notable is this particular source of information for a topic. What influence did I have regarding a topic? What is the information that they provided historically for a specific topic? Is it been of high content? Is it being high quality? Is it original? Because Google does not want to reward content that's simply just been rehashed. They want a unique perspective. And because of that, Google will actually provide something called highly cited in search results in the future for news sources. And I think this is exactly where an individual or a business should focus their attention, which is on EAT. And EAT is essentially something very, very similar, which is, are you the subject matter expert for a particular topic? Whether you're a brand, whether you're an individual, are you the right person with the right experience, the right expertise? Do you have the authority? Do people trust you regarding a specific topic? And that's where I see a large portion where we will see people trying to create original content, unique content, and this will create a good user experience. Google will reward that in the future. It will position you as an authority figure. And if you provide a unique experience, basically, guess what? Google will reward you in that sense as well. And over time, you build authority because you keep talking about becoming a subject matter expert or topical authority on something very, very specific. And that's where the future will go. And I definitely am a big believer that user-generated content as well will factor it in, where you can create content that'll be short, punchy. This could be people talking about you as a brand or as an individual, and all of this will factor into the future. And if you don't start now, I'm pretty sure you'll be surprised that you'll be left behind very, very soon. And I'm making that as a very, very important statement. And that's where I see the future of SEO and search at this stage. It's going to have a three-pronged approach. You're going to have the traditional AI, and then you're going to have user-generated content, and all of that will link towards expertise, authority, and trust in one way or another. And that's where everything's leading to. So I hope you guys have gained a lot of experience from watching this video. And definitely, if you have any questions or concerns, leave a comment. I will try and get back to you as soon as I can. Once again, please share this video and subscribe to the channel.